Hi everyone, my name is Simone Merritt. I am the owner and senior consultant for Enomis Consulting Group. We are a human resource firm in addition to some other services that we offer. We're hybrid between Atlanta and Charlotte, and I'm glad to be here today and give you some more information about what we do and how we can help serve you. If I had to describe our core philosophy, I'd first start with empowerment. Ultimately, from a human resources perspective, our goal is to empower our staff, whether that is strategically building with upper leadership or if that is in a more one-on-one employee relations perspective. In my industry experience and my ability being hands-on with staff, being able to be a transparent and respectable HR practitioner is the best thing that you can do. HR has such a stigma behind it, and when you are able to provide that comfortability with people, you're able to see the culture of the company as well as the trust in management continue to grow. So that is our core philosophy, is how we like to address and attack things with our clients. If I had to identify what makes our approach unique when it comes to the HR industry, I would say my technique or my niche has always been leadership and management first. I feel like the culture of most companies is shaped by who leads. I know it can be cliche when it comes to like a traditional old school thought process of do as I say and not as I do, but from an employee perspective, they want to see you do what you're expecting out of them. So I like to strategically target management and build from there and then down versus trying to build from the ground up. If I had to describe the Enomis brand in 3 words, it would be professional, strategic, and fun. My approach to everything is to make sure you're enjoying what you're doing. HR is a passion for me. The moment it's not, it wouldn't be something that I'll be doing. So being able to be passionate about it also brings out your ability to be your true self in your space. For me, my craft is extremely important. You know, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about mine. So I definitely bring that to the table when I'm speaking with my owners, when I'm speaking with my staff, and anybody that I'm dealing with when it comes to the services that we offer. I think there are a couple of common challenges that most HR businesses face, when dealing, especially from a consulting perspective. One, just the trust. Most employees do not trust HR. Being able to be transparent and mean what you say and hold yourself accountable. First and foremost, when you are in a position of accountability, you have to be accountable in all of what you do from the very beginning. And you start the strong way and you have to finish that way. I also think, being able to differentiate yourself when it comes to how you approach HR in this particular industry, market, and climate that we're in right now is extremely important. Losing DEI in a lot of our large Fortune 500 companies has been a very big deal. A lot of staff have decided, I don't believe in the company that I'm working for. I'm here, it's a job. I'm clocking in at 5, I'm clocking out, and you just don't have the buy-in. Being able to be responsive, attentive, and accountable with your staff when you're losing those initial and essential elements of HR, that's something you have to stay on top of. I would think any business that is new, bringing on HR services, that is one of our niches, is to come in with young entrepreneurs, not necessarily in age, but maybe in business. The owner has been wearing multiple hats and they're now ready to offload some of that. It's being able to understand and acknowledge when it's time to offload that to someone. You're maybe not ready to have an HR person on staff full time, but you are ready to offload those responsibilities and verify that you're in compliance with the things that you need to be doing now that you're bringing staff on. Most newcomers or young businesses have the tendency to 1099 a lot of things out when you don't necessarily understand the proper classification between the 1099 and the W-2. And so reaching out, finding an HR firm similar to Enomis to bring that compliance aspect in is the one thing that I love to give new businesses or, up and coming businesses that are expanding and scaling those opportunities, because it's essential. You don't want to find yourself in an EEOC situation. When trying to optimize your workforce proficiency and performance outside of your typical HR solutions, it starts with culture. You have to understand your staff. You have to understand how to motivate your staff in order for staff and production to then equal the quality that you need to put out for your clients. I think so many owners take the opportunity to stay sitting so high that you miss understanding what's happening on your ground floor and how you can optimize the different relationships between production and quality and operations. So I like to bring all of those things together. Me having the background with organizational leadership, a master's degree, as well as a business bachelor's, I love to bring all of those elements together with my HR experience to show owners how you may be far removed at this point, but you have to immerse yourself in that space in order to get the maximum productivity and quality out of your business and out of your staff. I think the biggest misconception when it comes to 1099s is I'm hiring somebody that I don't have to worry about employee or employer taxes being paid. Maybe I don't have to cover them on workers' comp. But this is one of the most misclassified classifications when it comes to employment. Exempt and non-exempt is one. 1099 versus W-2 is definitely strong right behind that. Most companies, it's one of those things that they don't like to fix it if it's not broken or no one has said anything. But when someone says something, that fine is way more than what you bargained for. So I always like to encourage companies, do it the correct way the first time. Then you don't have to come back and rectify it, let alone pay for that mistake. Within the next 12 to 18 months, there are so many things that are trending when it comes to HR at this particular point in this climate. I would say paying attention to the quiet quitting, the quiet cracking. Those things are still very real. People are unhappy. The economy is hard. You have to reinvest in your staff. I know, from being an employee, most of the times that is a monetary thought process, but for your owners and for your management, upskilling and giving your staff the opportunity to allow them to cross-train in other departments, other areas, giving them the upskills that they need to be able to take their current knowledge or knowledge that they're not even using and see, hey, we have a department over here that you may be capable of using some skills that you've had that we didn't even hire you for, and let's grow those and let's scale those up. Investing in your people. This is a time to pay attention to what those key employees look like and how they contribute to the overall success of your organization. I think when you're trying to foster a resilient and adaptable team, you have to, again, transparency. If I can't trust you, you can't lead me. So when you're looking for your staff to follow your leaders, you have to be able to be transparent. That's in the good and the bad. Delivery is key. Even though I may have to come and have a conversation with you about a hard topic or a hard conversation, I don't have to chastise you. I don't have to treat you as a child, but I need you to understand the severity of what we're discussing and what we need to do to make this move better as we continue on throughout the course of the project or the program or whatever we're doing. When you can develop that trust and that transparency, they know how you're coming. Anytime, I hate when you have employees that, HR is calling me to their office and there's this stigma and this energy behind that. If I'm asking you to come and speak with me, I need you to know I'm here to help you. Yes, I may have something hard to discuss, but I'm never gonna let you leave my office or out of my scenario without us being able to discuss what your goals are moving forward and how we don't have to come back to this, because I want the best for you and I want the best out of you. And I think that is how you have to start that relationship. When companies are trying to merge compliance and culture together, along with, today's society of flexibility, I believe, again, it starts with the transparency. I need you to understand the expectation from the beginning. From there, we can dive into what flexibility is being offered and how we want the culture to smoothly go. It starts with recruiting. You have to identify the correct staff for the organization and how you want the day-to-day flow to be. Once you have identified that, it can be seamless from that particular point. When fostering, an empowering and flexible work culture in today's society, one of the first things you have to think about is what remote work looks like. Everybody is doing this return to office style and how that has impacted today's industry in multiple companies, and that's not what your staff wants. They want the ability to be able to do my 9 to 5 as well as live my life and enjoy it. I think when you're trying to marry the two together, you have to take into consideration, does this position require someone to be in-house all of the time? If not, why impact your culture because you don't want to acknowledge flexibility? A lot of companies have to figure out what that looks like for them, especially going into the latter of what the workforce is getting ready to look like in the next 10 years. You have the generations after millennials that are big on my time and wanting to keep it. So the return to office energy won't work for that culture. And you have to think, this is what our workforce looks like in the next 10 years. We can't force these traditional standards on them without wanting some level of flexibility to come into place if we don't want our culture to change. I don't know if I have one practice in particular that I would say is non-negotiable. I would say compliance in general. When you are running a business, a corporation, an organization, where you're responsible not only for the livelihoods of others and your staff, you have to be in compliance. Sometimes that is a hard conversation, even when you can have empathy or sympathy in scenarios, but you have to make sure you're running your business in a compliant space and then entertain and integrate what you want that culture to look like. I speak transparency first and foremost. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, and then we can work through how we can fix the problem. But you need to understand where our standard is. Placing those standards at the beginning, you can't go wrong. Everybody wants the truth up front. Tell me what it is that you want from me, and then I can move accordingly. No one wants to be in a situation where you've taken my choices away from me. So once I know what my options are, we can move freely in this space. And I think that is the most strategic way to deal with your key employees as well as your, laborers or any of your staff in your organization. They need to understand how leadership is going to treat them, and they need so that they can make their decision. Is this the place for me? Would I love to work here? Or is this just a job? Because then you know what you're going to deal with and you know what to expect. Once expectations are on the table, all bets are off. We should all be able to perform at our maximum capacity at that point.